The evening sun was dropping behind the trees when I first saw the small wooden stand by the side of the road. A hand-painted sign hung above baskets of tomatoes, zucchini, and sweet corn. The sign didn't say, "For sale." It said something I had never seen before. Free vegetables. And standing beside the stand was a woman who looked like she belonged in a movie scene, calm, confident, and somehow carrying a quiet kindness in her eyes. When she looked at me and smiled, I had no idea that stopping for a few vegetables would turn into one of the most unforgettable nights of my life, and a lesson about kindness that would change the way I saw the world. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Stories like this remind us that kindness still exists in the world. Welcome to Your Channel Name, where every story is a reminder that small acts of goodness can change lives. Now, let me tell you what happened that evening. I had been driving for hours. Work had been rough that week. I was a construction contractor, and deadlines were stacking up like bricks on a job site. My body was tired, my mind was heavier, and honestly, I just wanted to get home. But that little stand on the side of the road made me slow down. It was simple. A few wooden crates, fresh vegetables, and that sign, "Free vegetables." I pulled my truck over. The woman standing there looked up as I stepped out. She had her hair tied back in a loose ponytail and dirt on her hands like someone who had spent the day working in the garden. "You can take some," she said with a small smile. "That's what they're there for." I glanced at the baskets. Bright red tomatoes, crisp cucumbers, and corn that looked like it had just been picked. "Free?" I asked. She nodded. "Garden produced more than I can eat," she said. Figured someone else might need it. Something about the way she said it felt genuine. Not like charity. Not like she was trying to prove something. Just simple kindness. I picked up a tomato and turned it in my hand. "You sure you don't want anything for them?" I asked. She shook her head. "Nope. Just promise you'll actually eat them." I laughed a little. "That I can promise." We stood there for a moment, the quiet country road humming softly in the background. Then she glanced at my truck. "You been working all day?" she asked. "Construction," I said. "Long week." She looked me up and down, noticing the dust on my boots and the tired look on my face. Then she smiled in a playful way and said something that caught me completely off guard. "Careful," she said. "I get attached to hardworking guys fast." I blinked. For a second I thought I had heard her wrong. Then I grinned. "Well," I said, shrugging a little, "then I guess I'll stay tonight." She laughed, one of those genuine laughs that makes you feel like you've known someone longer than 5 minutes. "Stay and do what?" she asked. I looked around. Behind the vegetable stand was a small farmhouse. The yard was big, and I noticed a pile of lumber near the fence. "Looks like you've got a project going," I said. "Need help?" She hesitated for a second. Then she said quietly, "Actually, yeah." Her name was Emma. She had inherited the farmhouse from her grandfather the year before. The place came with land, an old garden, and a lot of repairs. "I'm trying to fix up the back fence," she explained as we walked toward the yard. "Deer keep getting into the garden." The fence leaned slightly like it had been losing an argument with gravity for years. I rolled up my sleeves. "All right," I said. "Let's take a look." We spent the next couple of hours working together. I reset a few posts while she held the board steady. The sun slowly faded into a golden-orange glow, and the air cooled as evening rolled in. It felt strangely peaceful. At one point, Emma wiped her hands on her jeans and said, "You really didn't have to stop and help." I shrugged. "You didn't have to give away free vegetables either." She smiled at that. "Fair point." After a while, we sat on the porch steps to take a break. Emma brought out 2 glasses of lemonade. You know, she said, handing one to me, my grandfather used to say kindness is like planting seeds. I took a sip. What do you mean? She looked out at the garden. He believed if you give something good to the world, eventually it grows into something bigger than you expect. I looked at the rows of vegetables behind the fence we had just fixed. Looks like he knew what he was talking about. She nodded. He used to give away vegetables too, she said. Said you never know who might need them. The sky had turned deep blue by then, and the first stars were starting to appear. I realized something strange. For the first time all week, I didn't feel tired. I felt calm. Before I left, Emma packed a small box with vegetables. Take these, she said. That's way too much, I laughed. She shrugged. Consider it payment. For fixing the fence? For stopping, she said. I paused. You know, I said slowly, you're doing something special out here. She tilted her head. Giving away vegetables? No, I said. Reminding people that kindness still exists. For a moment she didn't say anything. Then she smiled softly. Well, she said, you stayed tonight like you promised. I grinned. Yeah. As I climbed into my truck, I realized something. That evening had started with a random stop on a quiet road. But it ended with a reminder that kindness doesn't have to be big or dramatic. Sometimes it's just a basket of tomatoes. Or fixing a fence for someone you just met. Or choosing to stay a little longer when the world expects you to drive away. A week later, I drove past that road again. The vegetable stand was still there. But this time something had changed. Next to the sign that said, "Free vegetables," someone had placed another small sign. It read, "Take what you need. Leave kindness behind." And underneath it sat a small jar filled with handwritten notes from people who had stopped there. Thank you. These helped my family. God bless you. I smiled as I added my own note. Kindness grows. The truth is, we live in a world where people often feel rushed, tired, and disconnected. But moments like that remind us that kindness is still powerful. It doesn't need a spotlight. It doesn't need recognition. It just needs someone willing to plant the first seed. Emma planted hers with a garden. I planted mine by stopping my truck. And maybe now, hearing this story, you'll plant one too. Because kindness spreads the same way those vegetables did. One person at a time. One small act at a time. And sometimes, all it takes is choosing to stay. Red Heart.